track with a track called Driver. Bring it back home.
Here, we'll put some fucking toddler core on for the people that don't like Pendulum. Some toddler core for you. Oh, the intro music sucks. I'd like to see what you listen to. Like, you're probably the biggest Lil Rizzy fan on the fucking planet. You listen to some incoherent babble blasting out of the fucking car speakers. That sounds like a dying rabbit getting strangled by a fucking anaconda. That's what you listen to. Guaranteed. Saving games? Killing games? How about gregging? I hate that. What is the process of gregging a game? Elaborate. There's like a physical phenomenon that needs to happen? I guess eating a bunch of food is the requirement. Eating a bunch of food is the requirement to get gregged. To get gregged. Yeah, it is. It's a question I absolutely want answered, and I want it answered immediately. I need answers. That is life's journey. Life's journey is about finding answers. Sneeden's Greg Water Chud Bible? I hate that. Oh my god. Oh, that is amazing. Beautiful. Industry is gregged and we must ungreg the game industry. Yeah, it's a lot of nasty shit going out and about in the quote-unquote gaming industry. For sure. How is everybody? How are y'all doing today? Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. We'll give it a couple more minutes here before we get started. Then we'll just dive on in. Watch new King of the Hill season. I'm hearing mostly positive things about the new King of the Hill season, which I'm honestly surprised about. Like, I was expecting it to not be good, but seems like it's holding up pretty well. Haven't had the ID verification bullshit pop up. Yeah, hopefully that... I'm amazed that shit is sticking around for as long as it has. Like, they're not letting that go. Like, if you live in the UK, I'm sorry, that's just how you live now. Oh, you know, I know. I think it's like the US has tried to push that shit multiple times, man. Some internet safety bill, what have you, has been proposed more than once. And I think that whoever's in power, at least here in America, will understand that if they try to push that here, it's not gonna go over very well. Like, people aren't as passive here about these things, and I think they're smart enough to not even try, like seriously try. They might, you know, because politicians are out of touch. But it's, I don't know. I think we're gonna be okay for now. I think we're gonna be okay for now. No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. The whole child safety thing is a Trojan horse for mass surveillance. That's what it is. Like this isn't some fucking tinfoil hat shit. This is just true. Because they want your face and your name attached to every single thing that you look at online, so they can track what you look at, and if it's something that is going against the establishment, they will know who is an enemy of the state. That's what they want this for. It's not about protecting kids. It's not about protecting kids online, because, you know, no, it's about watching everything you do and having your name and face attached to it. Like, let's be real. A lot of people go well out of their way to do that for the government on their own by having a Facebook or by having an Instagram and just having their face and name on everything they say and do online. But as the ever-growing sphere of anonymity is going away, shrinking down, the few people that are still valuing that kind of thing are going to hold on to it for as long as they can. They block what is socially taboo, then they block what they don't like by calling it socially taboo. Thing is, no, yeah, again, yeah, it's the Trojan horse thing, and that goes over to the what the credit card companies are doing, or are still trying to do, right? Where they're just not processing payments on what they deem inappropriate content, right? Be it not safe for work, or, you know, more extreme, like, adult themes. Nothing illegal. Mind you, it's all legal shit. It's all legal to consume that kind of content. Who is a payment processor to be to, like, dictate what I can and cannot spend my money on? Fuck you, first of all. If I want to look at my raunchy lesbian sex manga, I am, by God, going to buy it. But no, yeah, it's the slippery slope, as they start off by focusing and targeting on things that are socially taboo to quite a few people, and then after that, they'll usher in more widespread things, where it's like, oh, okay, we started with porn, now let's go to things that we don't like. And they can effectively ban these things from existing or being in wider circulation by barring any kind of payments for them. Without needing to pass a law, mind you, in order to ban these things, which is insane. Now, you can still use PayPal on Steam, but it's only for certain currencies, from what I've heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what they're trying to do now, because they want to just focus all of their transactions through a smaller handful of more common currencies. Because, like, the reason why, and PayPal sucks, don't get me wrong. PayPal absolutely sucks. I'm not defending PayPal in any way, shape, or form. But the reason, at least I think the reason why they do it, is because processing payments for other kinds of currency, like, the fees eat up the transaction. So, like, they basically have to pay money to get the money, and so they either, like, break even or lose money to smaller transactions to do currency conversions and all that shit. I assume that's their angle. but I could be wrong. My tabs are all fucked up. Go unfeeling machine, ban the Nazis. No unfeeling machine, don't ban my porn. Peak having your cake and eating it too fallacy? I don't know. Valve will be like, speak English, please. Just type normally, otherwise I'm not gonna understand what you're saying. Valve Pay will be a reality in 5. I mean, to be fair, like Valve's probably gonna go their own route of having their own payment processor. They're big enough to do it. Like Valve is so massive, they can absolutely just have their own payment processor. Like, I'm surprised they haven't put that forth already, because they've had so many issues in the past with processing payments, especially for other currencies and currency conversions. Like, I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. Both Tories and Labour were on that bill, so we're so cooked in the UK. No, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, because, like, a bill like that is only going to benefit whoever's in power. Absolutely. Like, a mass surveillance bill, anyone who's in control in government absolutely wants their hands on that. It doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on. If you have, like, the big button, like or if you have, like, the big wall of screens, like in, Dark Knight Rises, Batman, you know, where you can just look at everything everyone's doing and have their face and name attached to it. Like, absolutely, people are gonna fucking... Anyone in power is gonna, like, foam at the mouth over keeping that. Steam took out every single payment method from Argentina, so I can't use PayPal. Steam won't take my card, so I'm stuck pestering friends to buy anything in Steam. What the fuck? I wonder... to me, that doesn't sound like it's permanent. There's no way. There has to be some kind of transition going on, because if they're just cutting payments of all kinds from entire countries, I'm not seeing that being a permanent thing, because that's Valve losing money, and Valve does not like losing money. I could do a geology of Subnautica video. The problem is I've not played Subnautica. So, anyway. Yeah, we're doing something different today, and, albeit a bit of a risk. It's risky. I know people will get upset. I know people will be angry, but, I kinda don't want to talk about TF2 today. So if you're here for that, I'm sorry. I have no strong interest in talking about TF2, at least not directly today. There's nothing else nothing else can be said about the game right now. Right now, we're just waiting. We're waiting for Valve to do something. We're waiting for Valve to poke the fucking corpse with a stick. Right? So I'd like to just maybe talk about something else today. Talk about something that I think a lot more people can get behind, and there's maybe more value in these conversations instead of the endless circular hell that is the TF2 sphere. It's really exhausting, and, like, I kind of just don't want to look at it for a little while. Like, as I'm working on my Quickplay video, that's already draining me so much mentally, because it's just the same shit over and over and over. To the point where I'm getting, like, somewhat physically ill every time I'm looking at my project. Like, I don't want to make this video, but I feel like I have the obligation to do it, because it's, like, the last chance I feel like I have to get any kind of beneficial change for the game, because no one else is going to fucking do it. Except me. No one is gonna fucking hold Valve's feet over the fire because they're too comfortable in the place they're in. So, for me, I have to make that video, so I can at least say that I tried. Neil CC Riga fans rise up? Yes, indeed. Sup, Richter? So, today I want to do something different. Albeit, again, at a risk. I want to watch a Tom video. I want to watch a Tom video about the whole pirate software killing games thing. There's a lot of themes touched on in this video that I feel like will make about fun conversation. So, let's do something different today. I think this will be entertaining. I think it'll be entertaining. Fun conversation, aka shitting on... I mean, yeah, pirate software deserves a little bit of... A little noogie. Maybe a major noogie. But, I don't know, I want to watch this today. This came across my desk and it covers a lot of interesting stuff, so I'm like, you know what, let's do this together. I feel like it'll be entertaining for people. Update on Quickplay video. In progress. It'll be done when it's done. That's it. It'll be done when it's done. I can't give, like, fucking progress updates every 2 days. It'll be done when it's done. Just, please bear with me. I've been extremely busy. I have a new job coming up. Making a video is kind of on the back burner right now. So, yeah, it'll be done when it's done. Like, and I still set aside my 2 days a week to stream, so I'm gonna stick to that too. Like, I know people understand, but like I feel obligated to like because people are like, I mean, listen, I'm a TF2 guy. I know this. That's what I've set myself up to be. That's what everyone expects me to do. Right? That's just like what I've built myself into. So naturally, 99% of my audience is only going to be asking about my next TF2 video, and I get that. So, it's okay. Any advice for video making or how to do research? Jesus, it's a broad fucking question. Good God. I mean, generally you have to have a subject matter for your video. And if you know nothing about your subject matter, you need to start reading up. Look up everything that you can, absorb everything that you can. I need to understand what angle your video is trying to take here. Like, if you're just trying to make a video about fucking Twinkies, then you have to research what a Twinkie is, what it's made of, what the process of making it is. Like, are you talking about how they're healthy or how they're unhealthy? Like, there's so many pathways that question could take. So, no, yeah, in this video and the stuff this discusses is very relevant to Team Fortress 2 and what have you. So, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be interesting, so I vote that we get started. Stop killing games is unfortunately not going to accomplish anything. The thing is, I disagree. I think if it ultimately comes to a zero-sum game, right? If it ultimately comes to a zero-sum game, this at least makes it more of a habit for people to cry out against bullshit, right? The more that becomes a habit, the more pressure we can place on these big mega corporations to, like, stop fucking people over. Like, eventually some line is going to be crossed where it's going to be so monumental that people are just going to go, nope, nope. And if people are comfortable just saying, nope, that's already more than enough for a movement like this, I think. So, that's my opinion.
To the Tom Dark channel, the channel that posts every day. You guys will have to tell me which Norwood this is. All right, so as you guys know, if you watch the vids, I usually cover things and people to whom there's a really nasty sort of negative side to explore. Just so happens that that's a pretty interesting subject area. But every once in a while, there is a story that's kind of clear cut with like a good, likable guy and a satisfying ending that kind of reminds us that the internet isn't just
the appearance of Tom does evolve quite frequently. I don't know why.
And P's. Some people are actually doing good work, and one of them is Ross from the channel Accursed Farms. If you've been around for long enough in YouTube's gaming community, you're probably familiar with the Freeman's Mind series, which is basically a
fucking Freeman's Mind, man. That was like some of the first YouTube content I ever consumed was shit about Half-Life and Freeman's Mind and videos like that. It sucks because it's been so long since I've watched any of these videos that I barely remember them. And it took like when the whole stop killing games thing started like frothing up on Twitter and what have you, I forgot that he was the guy voicing those videos. I had just completely forgotten. It's such a different era of YouTube content. Ross is an internet legend. It's cool that Gordon Freeman is leading this charge. That's very true.
A playthrough of Half-Life, but the commentary consists of Ross basically speaking from the perspective of the game's protagonist, Gordon Freeman.
I see a bowl.
This was the shit when I was in high school.
Now, I know nowadays that may seem kind of underwhelming compared to what
that's the shit. That was the shit when I was in high school.
Modern gaming YouTubers are getting up to.
We're eliminated.
God damn! But you got to keep in mind.
It's so funny like how it's such a long bygone era where old gaming YouTube shit, man. It was quite literally like it was none of it was scripted, none of it was pre-planned, none of it was organized. It was just someone playing the game, and it was so natural and organic because this is before YouTube became a business for people. This is back when where it was literally about broadcast yourself was the slogan for YouTube before all of that went away some years later. Like, that was a big thing where people were just doing what they kind of normally did or like, you know, how people behave behind a camera without like some kind of like strict organization for the sake of making money. It felt genuine. It felt real. And so it's just a completely different time for making videos in general, and also just about gaming. Where like a gameplay commentary, like again, it's like a dead art form where it's just someone playing a fucking video game and talking as they do it. Nothing else. No flashy editing. No scripts. Nothing at all. Like this is even before talking over pre-recorded gameplay was a thing, where you're just talking as you actually played the game. That was the shit. That was a big fucking deal, and everyone wanted to get. I fucking wanted to get on that. Like I was fucking 15 when like I saw this shit, going, I want to do that too. Oh man, still can't believe it was the Freeman's Mind guy behind these. Watched them like a decade ago. It's some of the fucking oldest content on YouTube that still holds up today. Like to me, I still find it charming and entertaining. And yeah, now we have fucking live streams. I mean, the thing is, like even live streams, right? Like even live streams kind of started within the era where things not so much like Justin TV, like back then it was more like people being unique and genuine, but like especially now things are very corporate. It's super corporate. People put on an act, they put on a guise or a face, or they put on a character like you're a VTuber. Like they're not actually being themselves fully through and through, you know what I mean? So it's more like being able to like engage and engagement farming, what have you, like flashing your tits, that kind of thing. It's not we can never get back to this genuine time of YouTubing and streaming and content creation in general. So there are so many literally innumerable amount of Freeman's Mind clones that people spewed out on YouTube for every single game that's ever existed. No, yeah, and it cannot be stressed, it cannot be exaggerated how influential the Freeman's Mind series was on YouTube, like gaming YouTube in general. So it's nuts.
That Freeman's Mind came out in the ancient year of 2007, back when 30 Seconds to Mars and 3 Days Grace was still on the radio. Or like the cat
like 3 Days Grace
with the keyboard. At that point in time, there were no real Let's Plays with commentary.
Here we go. I'm pausing a million times because like I just want to say, like, internet culture back when I started high school was so fucking different, man. So fucking different. Where like it was really simple shit that blew up into these big memes, right? Like fucking keyboard cat and all this other stuff, man. Just like the really simple shit. Yeah, it is back in my day because this is now like 15 years ago. 15 fucking years ago. More than that. 13 years, like 16, 17, almost 20 years ago, right? Like 20 years ago, like some of my earliest internet memories start forming in my mind, man. It's quite literally a back in my day moment because like you have to think about the majority of people that interact with each other online. It's a lot of young people. They completely miss this era. It's nuts. It's been that long. And like this shit, Tom makes me feel, Tom is way younger than me. I'm fucking 31. This shit makes me feel old. Fuck you, Tom.
Okay, we were still 3 years away from PewDiePie. So anyone doing gaming content,
he has to pitch shift his voice in order to hit that note because like no one else but PewDiePie can do that.
Content with their own voice as commentary was by definition kind of an early adopter. So that immediately put Ross kind of up there with other early internet legends. I made a Turkey Tom video about this recently where I sort of compared him to the angry video game nerd, and he certainly is sort of in that category. They've both.
Any AVGN fans in here? Fucking another massive name. Oh my god, like shit like that. Like, see, but then like this goes back to like putting on a character and what have you. That still felt infinitely more genuine than the shit we get now, you know? I know I'm gonna keep saying organic, but it just felt way more organic than the shit we see now. Because all the shit back then was made for fun and not made for television. Or not made for like a corporate money-making scheme, right? It was like making it for the sake of like out of passion and fun. So it's
stuck around since then. They've both gotten involved in controversies, but regardless, they both were kind of
remember that Ghostbusters shit, and he was in the right because the movie was terrible. Like, can we blame him? Oh.
Immediately considered correct in the winning party. But while AVGN's Ghostbusters controversy came and went in a very brief window of time, Ross's kind of controversy has been dragging on for years at this point. And although you've probably heard bits and pieces of it from the
inferior commentary channels,
okay, in comparison to the superior Tom Dark grade A slop, I don't really blame people because frankly, it's
currently I'm no better, so
hard to get the gist of what Ross is doing and why he's doing it without understanding the greater context. Ross comes from an era and a community that grew up with and was very familiar with having hard copies.
Old YouTube used to be a forest, now it's a corporate city. It's more dense and insane than a city. I wouldn't even know what to call it. It's such a web. Ugh. It's
games.
Messy.
As in, you would go to GameStop, you would go to the store, you would pay for a CD, or before that, a cartridge, and then the game is just on that little disc, okay? Like, crazy, I know, but that is how it was. And on top of that, if you had a friend that wanted to play that game with you, but...
So many people, so many youngins, will never experience the joy of lining up for a new game release at a GameStop to get some of the first copies. That entire era is dead. It's gone. And it makes me so sad. Having to work your chores to get your money, to go get in line for the new copy for a game. Like, for me, it was Game Boy Advance games, because that's like, well, it's all I had at the time was Game Boy Advance. And then eventually start buying Wii games when I was allowed to have consoles. But for me, I got a Game Boy when I was 10. Because for me, it was like PC games. Then I got a Game Boy when I was 10, and then I got a Wii when I was 13, and then as I got older, I went back and got other consoles. But so many young people will not know the joy of getting in line and buying a physical copy of a game. It makes me so sad. And something else to that too, and I think he's got to mention here about sharing games.
Your options were to give your copy to him or rip that game onto a CD and then send that to him.
Like, that's all you had to do. It's like, this is like the evil shit Nintendo is doing now, and it makes me so fucking mad. Where, like, you're not even allowed to share your games anymore. They make it so fucking cumbersome. Like, you have to, like, you have to, like, license your copy of the game with your fucking console. And if you hand it to someone else, they can't use it. Or now they're, like, limiting it to one person that you can share the game with at a time or something like that. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking evil. But, like, when I was 13, oh, you want to play fucking Halo? You want to play fucking... I'll give you, dude, buddy, I want to try out Halo ODST. Here, have my copy. And I just go fucking play it. That's all you had to do. Or Halo 3, or fucking Metroid Prime 2. My buddy had Metroid Prime 2. It's like, hey, can I play this? Like, yeah, fuck it. It's like, I just had to pop that shit in my Wii and I was good to go. Or an element that he missed here, because no one does this anymore, because everything happens on the internet now. You would invite your friend over to your house and play games together. Oh, I don't have this console, or I don't have this game. Hey, come on over after school. Let's play video games together. That shit, does that happen anymore? Do people do this anymore? I'm making a 3D model of this because I love a design. Do you have something like an archive with the artwork of her? DM me on Twitter or on Discord and I can get you more references. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Like, yeah, that's true. Like, it feels like only older people do that now. Like, only people in my age bracket will actively go out of their way to go to someone's house and play a video game with them. But yes, Cypherlock, you're right. It's usually only things like Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart, and that's fine. They're good. But, like, this is back in the... Like, I'd just go to my friend's house and watch him play Ratchet and Clank. I would just watch him play. Like, I would experience games vicariously through my friends. Because, like, while he's playing fucking Ratchet and Clank, I'm building a Bionicle next to him on his bed. Like, that was what I would do after school. Or I'd go watch him play fucking Metroid Prime, the first one, because I didn't have a fucking GameCube. That's what I did when I was growing up. That is, like, I feel like that's completely lost on young people. Like, kids don't do that. Like, the kids go to other kids' houses and play anymore? Like, oh my god. I mean, to me, it makes me sad. Like, it's like, that's just like fewer and fewer things like that are happening anymore. Played through Sega GT 2002 while my buddy watched. Yes, that's the shit. Oh my god. It makes me sad. It's just a bygone era.
In a playable state. It had to be a hard copy.
But Tom, isn't that piracy and illegal?
You may be saying, as your Fortnite aura farming gooning brain sort of just melts, okay? You can't understand it. The fact of the matter is, back then, this kind of thing was very common, especially in the community that Ross...
Yes, like, hold on. People are now too busy achieving the skibbity riz TikTok farm and whatever slop terms exist. Yeah, that's fair. Fucking, no, yeah, like, ripping games became increasingly popular, and, like, people hosting games online. so you can fucking pirate them. You know, that became more and more free. Like once internet speeds started getting fast enough where file transfers didn't take a year through dial-up, this became a lot more common, and also more so like handing out copies on discs and shit like that.
Hailed from, and no one even batted an eye at it. This was just like normal. For example, around the same time that Ross was making his name on YouTube, there was other channels like ICTOS.
You wouldn't download a car.
And they made stuff like Idiots of Gary's Mod and John Freeman. Then there was Das Boshit, who made the Gmod Idiot Box. There was also Kitty
fucking Das Boshit Idiot Box series, man. Oh my god. I watch that shit every day with my friends. Every fucking day. Like, when the next Gmod Idiot Box came out, it was a holiday. It was like Christmas. We were so excited. And then we have Kitty 0706, because I paused it on the screen right now. May the beautiful man rest in peace. Insanely talented man. Making some of the most classic gems, both in and outside of the TF2 sphere.
706, who had a very fire soundtrack. Okay, I heard him rocking that Day to Remember. Rest in peace.
Yep.
It's not a coincidence that a lot of these guys relied heavily on Gary's Mod for their content, and Ross relied on Half-Life, all of which is owned by Valve, who has a history of facilitating user-generated content. Whether it be their very friendly relationship with modders, releasing the source filmmaker, releasing the source code for TF2 more recently, Valve has fostered a community.
I mean, yeah, the main thing was modders first, right? Absorbing modders and bringing them into the fold, because, I mean, a lot of games we play now started out as mods, including something like Team Fortress 2 being a mod for Quake, and then bringing other people in that would make hats for their games or cosmetics for their games, and just making this whole ecosystem of player-generated content, all the way to the point where nowadays, Valve doesn't do any work on their own games. All of their customers do it for them, practically for free. Like, other than CSGO skins and TF2 hats, and, like, do they even accept Dota cosmetics anymore? I don't really keep my finger on the pulse of Dota, but do they still take community-made Dota cosmetics and put them into the game? Because I just don't know. I would assume they do, because that's like another big money machine, right? But it became so extreme, and Valve later realized, I mean, there's that famous quote from Gabe Newell, where he says 10 times more content is generated by our user base than what we can make ourselves. And so they just tap into that and practically have the players make the games for them. So,
community of people that, for better or worse, don't hold intellectual property sacred and don't really mind piracy that much. And this is by design, as the owner of Valve, Gabe Newell, has always publicly stated that he considers piracy a service problem, meaning that his aim as the head of Valve was always to offer a better.
Do I still agree with that statement? I think it's definitely a pricing problem, especially in the modern day where, like, people are pushing, or companies are pushing $80 games. It's kind of a pricing problem, but I still mostly agree that it's definitely a service problem. Like, you're inconveniencing your customers in some way to make them go out of their way and not want to buy your product. You know what I mean? But there's also, like, a much stronger moral argument these days where, like, if you just don't want to support the company because they have terrible practices, but you still want to get your hands on something they made, then sail the 7 seas, my friend. So, $80 for a game you'll play till the next release. I mean, will you even play it that long? You'll play it for an even shorter period of time because it's a simple, consumable thing. Like, fucking, like they still make FIFA games, right? Like, FIFA 20... I don't even know what they're called. They still make these fucking FIFA and NFL games. Like, and they still sell. It's got a rating of 1.8. No, I mean, I'm not surprised. Because those fucking sports games just fell into the gacha pool. How much does this game fucking cost, man? They're still selling these at, like, full price. $70! For the same fucking shit they've been selling for the past decade, if not longer than that. Good God, man. Yeah, I would, you know, pirating, that's a motivation to pirate. So, yeah, FIFA games. Yeah, they're slot machines now. People in Brazil already couldn't afford games, and now with this new normalized pricing structure, how do you expect even Americans to buy anything that isn't indie? Yeah, true. Like, yeah, because again, I mean, they're all working together. It's like a, you know, company A bumps price to 80, company B realizes, oh, we can do that too, because now they've set they've set the new standard, so they just keep inching up like this. And unless you're buying from an indie developer that, you know, wants to remain competitive because they have to go up against a multi-billion-dollar company, then their prices are going to stay low, right? So now that Nintendo is setting the standard for $80 games, or $90 now, something like that, guess what everyone else is going to do? They're all going to fucking follow suit.
Service rather than pursue pirates to the ends of the earth to curb their activities, which makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that Valve is perfect. There are some problems with Counter-Strike cosmetic gambling problems, right? Obviously, they kind of forced a transition to CS2 from CSGO. And most importantly, the thing we're going to talk about today is that they kind of operate on the same legal basis.
I know, I'm going to frown. I know TF2 is infinitely more irrelevant than Counter-Strike, but like the sins of Valve go much further than how they've handled Counter-Strike over the past 10 years. So, giving you money, I don't have to ask you. Please add a server in South America. I'm working on it. As soon as the hosting service I use lets me put a server in South America, I will do that. It'll happen soon. What was it saying? I just completely forgot what I was saying. Fucking shit. No, right, yeah, Counter-Strike. Yeah, TF2 is infinitely more irrelevant than Counter-Strike in this method, and the sins of Valve go way deeper than what they do with Counter-Strike. Like, it's not enough people appreciate, and I think I've said this on stream before, not enough people appreciate the road that Valve paved to the modern microtransaction systems that countless other games use. Storefronts, in-house gambling, all that shit was massively pioneered by Valve. Of course, they weren't the first to dabble in these concepts, but Valve massively popularized it thanks to their success in games like TF2 and Counter-Strike. And then everyone just followed suit, because guess what? Gambling is insanely addicting. Shocker, who could have thought? And so now it's pushed in every fucking game under the sun. You would be more hard-pressed to find a game that does not have some kind of gambling element baked into it. At least a popular title, anyways. Indie games, sure, you can avoid that stuff pretty cleanly, but any popular title being pushed these days, especially one that's live service, you have to offer it as free-to-play, because that's the standard, and you make your money with microtransactions and gambling. Just... yeah, I can stop anytime I want. Of course, there are exceptions too, like, you know, Elden Ring. You know what I mean? But, you know, like the main principle
of DRM and game licensing as every other platform. If you're not too familiar with video games, this may sound like complete gibberish to you, but when you're a real gamer, okay, and this starts happening, you'll start to understand. Basically what this means is that when you buy a game on Steam, you're actually buying a license to play the game.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy. You don't actually own anything on Steam. Like, I'd say that's something else that, like, not enough people realize or understand. You don't own anything you have on Steam. None of it. None. On a whim, Valve can just pull the plug on whatever they want. Anything. Yeah, you can't even run the files themselves without Steam being installed on your machine. It's like, not enough people understand that, and it's like, and I think, and that's something else too. That's something else that's good coming out of the Stop Killing Games thing, is that it just woke up more people to the fact that if you're purchasing anything digitally and you have a digitally, if you have a digital copy of a game or a movie or music or what have you that's offered to you via live service, you don't own it. You have a license to access the material, but you don't actually have a copy, and you never will.
Obviously, you still do get the files on your computer, which is honestly a lot more than a lot of other media platforms can say, but your license to the game can technically be revoked at any moment by them. While this may sound scary, this is actually the standard for any media that's covered by copyright, because the alternative would be selling you the rights to the media itself. Additionally, while Steam doesn't require this, a lot of games on Steam require DRM, and Steam enforces it, meaning some games, which are multiplayer or otherwise, can need an internet connection in order for them to function. As far as I know, the only relevant platform that offers DRM.
And that's just fucking evil too, man, because like, oh, I want to play this game, but my internet's down? Sorry, fuck you, I guess. And this also goes back to the notion of like a game getting the plug pulled on it, right? where it's only ever offered online and you can't play it offline. This goes into the stop killing games thing, where like you have a game that's offered as like live service, or you have like you can purchase a license to play it. But then if they just suddenly decide to stop hosting servers, you're shit out of luck. That game you just bought, you're not allowed to play it anymore. That's bullshit. And that's why, all this shit went down.
Free software.
Can you at least not watch Tookie Top? No, fuck you. I'm watching what I want.
Is GOG, but it is worth noting that there are a lot of Steam games that don't have any DRM, including massive games like the one and only, perhaps the greatest game of all time, Batman Arkham Asylum. Amnesia is another example. You guys probably know Amnesia.
I'm just in this guy's crotch, so I don't know.
It's the only reason why people know Amnesia is PewDiePie.
And even some of Valve's own games like Half-Life 2. Now, despite the technicalities having always been the same, which is to say that it's in the favor of gaming corporations, things used to be different. Games were de facto products, and they were treated as such, partly because they were always meant to be sold as physical copies. But things began to change in the modern age when games increasingly became digital media rather than a physical copy. While Steam didn't change...
And this is something major too, right? This is something major too. When the game was launched, that's it. The company could do nothing. Once it was out there in the stores, if there was a problem with the game, if there was a bug, if there was like a massive exploit, what have you, sorry, you can't recall the millions of copies you just printed to discs or put into cartridges. You're fucked. So when a game shipped, it had to be done. There's no DLC, there's no patches for a game. That was it. And that put a much bigger, not constraint or choke, but it forced game developers to be a lot more careful. It forced game developers to be a lot more careful with putting games out there, because if they fuck up, there's no taking that back. And it prevented them from being lazy, because in order for your game to be purchased, it has to be good, and so you have to compete with other people making other games. So everyone was constantly striving to make the best of the best, and if they did not do that, then the game just wouldn't sell and they would make no money. So pre-high-speed broadband internet era, when a game was shipped, it had to be good. It had to be of top-notch quality, otherwise no one's going to buy it. So like some of the best games consistently came out before high-speed internet and hosting things on the internet where you can download a patch to fix something, enabled game developers to be lazy. Because now they can push out a game, right? They can push out this is fucking Billy Bob Clubs 37, they put it out on Steam or something, and it's like an open access beta, $60 please. They can sell a game for full price, and it's not even complete yet, and people will still buy it, which is the insane thing. First of all, people still pay the money for incomplete games, but then they have no obligation to either finish the game or make it of quality because you already gave them your money. So it's like games just are in this consistent cycle of fix and patch and fix and patch, and some of them, oh my god, does anyone remember Star Citizen? Does anyone remember Star Citizen? They never finished that shit, did they? They never fucking finished Star Citizen. I never played it, but I had a buddy of mine, and I remember consistently warning him over and over and over again, maybe you shouldn't be giving these guys your money. So, for those of you that don't know what Star Citizen is, this was like, I'm trying to remember. It wasn't like a Kickstarter thing. It was like an early access game where they were trying to develop this massive open world space game. And the way you supported its development is you would give them various amounts of money, and like you'd get like a package. I think it was on Kickstarter or like whatever the fuck it was. And like you could pay $1,000 and you could get like a spaceship in the game. It's like a thank you for supporting the game. And it's been what, 12 years? Longer than that, then they still haven't finished the fucking game. They've been taking so much money from people for a game that is still not done. It's insane. Like that's the shit that game companies can get away with now, because nothing is holding them to making a quality game, because they never have to completely put it out, because it's never going to end up on a fucking disc. Where's my copy of TF2? Hold on. Where's my copy of TF2? Son of a bitch. It's in my drawer somewhere. No, that's my dildo. Get that out of here. Where's my fucking... Where's my copy? It's not in here. It's gone, but my point still stands. It had to be on a disc. It had to be on a fucking disc. And if it wasn't, that prevented companies from doing crazy bullshit like that. It was a joke, don't worry. It was a joke, don't worry. Anyway, so hence, stop killing games.
Too much, and PC gaming as a whole remained intact, the world of consoles began to radically shift. These massive player bases started to be dumped on company-run networks that required you to be always online to function properly, which instantly led to huge crises like the 2011 PSN outage that lasted for nearly 1 month.
Every PS3 is down right now, not just yours, not just mine. Every PS3 is down right now.
I've never owned a PlayStation, but even I remember this shit.
It's not your fault, it's not your DSL, it's not your modem, it's not Cox, it's not DSL, it's not your...
That's something else too. You buy game. You own game, right? You buy game on online service. And if something fucks up on their end, you just don't get to play. Sorry. You're fucking shit out of luck. You're entirely dependent on this company granting you access to the game. Not just on your internet connection, but also on their servers.
It's not anything. It's not your fault. It's fucking Sony's fault.
And then there was the fumble of the decade for Microsoft, who followed up their generational, classic, amazing Xbox 360 with the, I would say, mediocre at best Xbox One in 2013. While the reasons for the Xbox One being bad are many, they mostly revolve around Microsoft trying to turn their new gaming console into a digital library Swiss Army knife. It did a lot of different things, but it didn't do any of them that well. Consequently, it wasn't a very attractive console, especially when it came to exclusives that gradually got worse over time. Until they introduced a concept in 2017, which has since simultaneously been a centerpiece and the bane of modern gaming, and this is called...
Before we get to that, so something else. Consoles are largely dead in my eyes. Like, the only one that is still hanging on is Nintendo. Because Nintendo not only has insanely dedicated fans, but, you know, Nintendo, despite being evil as a company, you have to give them credit where credit is due, they still make good games. Somehow, they still make good games, right? They still somehow do it. And they ship a console, and again, the only way you can play them is through their console. But it feels like Nintendo remains king in the console world right now, because fucking PS5, what's on there right now? Right? No, I agree. Not $80 good. I'm not defending that shit. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me fucking wrong. But like, what's on PlayStation? What's on Xbox right now? Ports? Remakes? Nothing new or unique Concord? Yeah, I mean, yeah, fucking nothing. Fucking nothing. Right? Dead. Fucking dead. How are they still making money is my question. Seriously, I guess they're like, you know, Microsoft and Sony are making money off the games they pump out now, and not their consoles anymore. So consoles have been a great alternative to PC, especially cost-wise. No, I completely agree. Like, on the notion of not having to buy like a $3,000 rig, which is what I have, right? On the notion of like, oh, I can just pay $300 for a console, $599 US, you know, that's obviously as a more cost-effective option, that makes perfect sense. And that was an absolutely viable argument even 10 years ago, right? But nowadays, what's the point of buying a new console if there's nothing to fucking play? You know? Gaming is no longer a leisure, it is a privilege. Xbox Game Pass.
Called the Game Pass. On one hand, Game Pass made a lot of really expensive games accessible to people who wouldn't have the money to buy the games individually. And there's really no measuring how much that contributed globally to getting people into video games. But on the other hand, they ran into two major issues. Firstly, these games have become increasingly aggressive with their pricing, and that's partially because their individual sales will always be affected by Game Pass anyway. Whereas games used to be commonly priced at like $40, and then I remember there was like an increase to $60. Now it seems like the premium price for a lot of games is $70 to $80.
It's kind of amazing that $60 held on for as long as it did without any kind of price hike. And now they're really leaning into 70, 80, and even $90 games, which is insane. I miss the $40 game. I bought fucking Smash Bros. Brawl for $30, if memory serves. No, yeah, and then the premium deluxe versions over the 100. You get a skin. You get like a cool water bottle in the game. You get a cool water bottle in the game. Extra $50 for that, please. With how new consoles cost, you can buy a solid pre-built PC for the same price. No, absolutely, yeah. Like with the cost of a fucking PS5 or what have you now, you can very easily put together like a decent mid-range PC. I mean, you're not gonna get the fucking top of the line, 8-core processor shit, but you're gonna get something pretty serviceable for a lot of games. So you can. I still recommend getting a PC than any console these days.
Obviously, Game Pass wasn't the only factor that contributed to this. There's also the economy, inflation, whatever that means. But due to a lot of extremely negative backlash, it seems that a lot of gaming companies are kind of hesitant to get into the $80 territory today.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's very, very soon. It'll happen. They're holding off a little bit more, but it'll bust out in the next year or two. Guaranteed.
Now, the other problem here is that despite there being a lot of previous examples of games that ran on subscription,
why would you need a top PC? Just get bid. No, yeah, exactly. The thing is, I need a top PC because I make videos, and so I need like a fucking beast of a rig that can render, large files and what have you. So that's why I need a high-end PC. But if you're just playing games, like under $1,000 can get you something pretty serviceable. So
services, Game Pass.
The thing is, we already have $100 games, but that's like the stuff that comes with all the extra bells and whistles. Like I remember Halo ODST. You could go to the store, you'd get like the big buck bunny box for Halo ODST. Like you pay the $100, you get the game, but you get the art book, you get like the high quality hand painted like statue, inside of this really cool box with awesome art. Like you got like a whole bunch of physical goods whenever you dropped $100 for a brand new game. What do you get now? Why did my fucking browser describe? But what do you get now? You get an incomplete game. You get a fucking incomplete game. You don't get a whole product anymore. You get like a skin. It's like the worst part. It's like, okay, here, you can be early access developer for a brand new fucking game. Not early access developer, early access supporter for a brand new game. So you're already paying full price for a fucking game, but then they might give you like a skin. Or they might give you like, oh, you get like a quirky gun for being an early supporter. But that's all you get. That's what you get for your $100 now. It's ridiculous.
Specifically was pivotal in nudging the entire games industry closer to a model that is now widely recognized as games as a service. Essentially, every single
you will own nothing and be happy.
Widely hated gaming buzzword, right? Microtransactions, pay to win, gotcha mechanics, and some otherwise
To all Genshin fans, I apologize that you played that game.
Very aggressive monetization tactics that are kind of inching closer to gambling.
Inching closer? Tom, buddy, let's be real. It is. It's gambling. Like, that's just, there's no beating around the bush. It is just gambling. I am amazed by the videos I see coming out with Counter-Strike. Like, the amount of money that people are blowing on CS cases is getting so insane. Like, I just watched a video the other day. There's a guy that is pumping out videos where he's opening weapon case once. He's opening like 500 at a time. Some insane number. The dude is dropping like $200,000 in one video to get like 20 grand back. That is fucking insane. How much money from like just one dude, mind you, like tons of other people do this too. So much money is flowing through gambling, and that's just for Valve. Other game companies too have figured out very successful models for this kind of thing. Like, I'm not throwing shade towards these guys. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out the insane amount of money that flows just from the gambling. Not even the game itself, but just the gambling is fucking ridiculous. It's nuts. I sent you a DM. Can I also make a low poly model? Sure. I missed that donation earlier. I apologize. Yeah, go for it. Valve still had the guts to come on stage and say they didn't want to make system to make folks gamble when they literally made one. Yeah, it's just the Crow Cat video is evergreen. It will always and forever be evergreen, 100%. No, yeah, and it's only gonna get worse. Like, it's only gonna get crazier because it is such a lucrative, unregulated gambling ring, and so many other companies are constantly chasing that.
Almost all of this can be associated with games as a service. Making money off of the sale of a game was just not enough for these companies.
Gambling and surprise mechanics. I hate that. No.
They wanted more. Because these companies didn't want to just make money off of the player's playtime. They needed to do it. Have you noticed the...
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. That's not quite the quote, but it was, what was the exact quote from the guy at Valve? It's like, do you think gambling has had any impact on Counter-Strike as a whole? I think was the general question the guy was asking. And the guy from Valve said, yeah, we don't have any data on that. You motherfuckers, you have all the data you could ever want to know as to who's actually... Like, I want to see the ratio of accounts that actually play the game versus the ones that just open cases. I want that data. Guarantee you, more people open Counter-Strike to gamble than to actually play the fucking game. Guarantee it. And lots of idlers.
Trend of these big single-player games becoming less and less common.
No, yeah, I don't know if Tom's going to touch on the Battle Pass stuff, but no, yeah, Battle Passes are indeed literally like pay to work. You know, pay to get what you say pay to get what you already paid for, and you will miss out. No, it's fear of missing out. They bank on fear of missing out. Like, if you don't get this Battle Pass, you're gonna miss out like a whole season's worth of content. You're gonna miss out on the Chun-Li Fortnite skin if you don't buy the Battle Pass, and then you have to grind. And that's something else too. Battle Passes make games habits. They don't make games fun. They turn games into routine. They turn games into habits to subversely make games into an addiction, into a habit. So we're like subconsciously, it's like, shit, I didn't do my gacha dailies, or I didn't do my battle pass progress for the day, where like you feel this urge to go do this progress. Otherwise, you're wasting the money that you spent, and you didn't even get anything in return yet because you didn't put the work in. Hence why you say it's pay to work, right? That's insane to me. Like, here, pay $40 for this battle pass and you get nothing unless you treat the game like a job and hit a certain amount of quota every day. Fucking insane. Zoomers equal IRL casino, Zoomers equals anime game casino. That's actually very true. I saw a very fascinating story the other day where, to be fair, this is the direction things are going, at least here in America, but like Vegas is dying. Shocker, Vegas is dying. Where, you know, no one is going to gamble their money because no one has the money to gamble. But like, I forget the exact headline. It was something to the effect of, they were like putting the blame on younger people. Like, well, young people aren't coming to spend the money. It's like, we don't have money to blow. Like, my $5, am I going to put it in slots, or am I going to pay for like half a cheeseburger? I need to eat today. Online gambling is so much easier and fast. Like, I 100% true. Like, CSGO being the perfect example of that, right? So that's definitely a factor as well. Like, the accessibility for gambling is the bar is much lower, because if you have an internet connection, you can download like a fucking casino game on your phone and start blowing money instantly. But like the reason why people would go to Vegas was not only for the gambling, but like the whole atmosphere and the whole and how people would treat you and what have you. You'd get free drinks, and you know, they'd comp you for a fucking beer if you want to keep gambling, like all that shit. Like, now you're paying $35 for a fucking beer. You have to hunt someone down to get a drink. Like, if you've seen the movie Casino, that movie like perfectly encapsulates, like towards the end of the movie, why Vegas changed. You know, it's all about sucking as much money out of people as possible and not giving them an experience. Like, once that element of Vegas died out, like going into like the early 2000s, moving into the 2010s, then like the Vegas's death sentence was effectively signed, and it's gonna peter out with a whimper. So, gambling.
And then these like indie single player games occupy more of that space. Meanwhile, these big game dev companies increasingly focus their efforts on live service games that are structured not just to keep you playing, but also to keep you paying. Now, while these elements I mentioned are not necessarily games as a service in and of themselves, they often go hand in hand, as do things like Game Pass. Basically, all of the things that kind of inconvenience or discourage the conventional model of you buy a game and then you get the full game and then there's no more payment necessary and you keep it forever.
That's old news, buddy.
Now there's
and it's always the money, because the free-to-play model, again, something heavily popularized by Valve. This is something else we can thank the Church of Valve for, is the popularization of the free-to-play model. What was the exact quote on this one? Where it's like a 3 to 1 or a 10 to 1, and this was like back in 2014 when he said this. It was like a 3 to 1 or a 10 to 1 increase in revenue by making a game go free to play, because the barrier for entry is 0. The barrier for entry is 0, so you can just walk in, right? There's nothing deterring you from immediately getting into the game, and then all they have to do is expose you to microtransactions. And then you're hooked. By the time you spend the amount of money for the cost of the game, they've made you a lifelong customer. And then you keep coming back for more and more and more as they put more content into the game. And so, like, you could pick out 10 to 20% of any free-to-play game's player base, and they've spent 4, 5, 10, 20, 100,000 times the cost of what an individual copy would go for, like retail. Infinitely more profitable.
always been a lot of voices in the online gaming community that have expressed their displeasure with this whole situation, but there was very little that anyone could actually do about it, or so they thought. In the year of 2019, despite not really having a huge audience or a lot of meaningful sway in the community immediately, none other than Ross decided to start working toward a solution. Now, the unique element of his approach to this issue is that Ross used kind of an axis to attack the issue, this issue being the killing of games. In his 1 hour and 15-minute video titled Games
Drop 2K on Warframe? Dude, I look back at the amount of money I spent on TF2 and I fucking regret it. It's holy shit. The amount of money that I spent on one free game is a sin. They got me. They did. They absolutely got me. And I'm not the only one, and that's why Valve is a multi-billion-dollar company.
A service is fraud. He highlights the difference between a game that explicitly operates on a rental or subscription system like RuneScape or World of Warcraft, and contrasts that with the industry-wide practice of games as a service, which markets products as if they were conventional products they'll always be able to engage with, when in actuality they are online-only privileges that the company behind the game is giving you temporary access to. To kind of quickly sum it up, this can be boiled down to something called perpetual licenses, which is what games are supposed to be as a product. You buy something, and then you get to engage with that content for as long as you maintain your instance of it. You're allowed to maintain it, you're allowed to repair it.
Better spend that money on me. I give you dumb doodles and sweet insults. Well,
you're
thank
allowed
you.
to modify it in whatever way you want.
I'm not going to drop that. Like, some furry artists will happily drop the amount of money I spent on TF2 on a single piece of artwork, but I'm a bit more frugal than that, my friend.
And the company isn't allowed to revoke your access because of whatever you do to that media. While there are some exceptions like cheating in multiplayer games that are managed by the company which owns it, and obviously the cheating will actively harm other people's playing experiences, perpetual licenses clearly place games in the category of goods, not services. Now, Ross uses this to then go over legislation concerning games in multiple parts of the world and connects it to cases where games as a service were killed, meaning they were shut down in such a way where the people who bought the game weren't provided with means to keep the game running themselves.
And that's the main crux of this, is where tomorrow Valve could just turn off TF2 servers, but we would still have access to the game through Steam, right? That's the beauty of it. Because players, like I'll remind people, because a lot of people don't remember this. When TF2 launched in 2007, there were no Valve servers. It was entirely player operated. Players owned and operated all of the game servers. So Valve could shut off their servers tomorrow, but we still have access to this game and we can still play it, right? Like, we still have the ability to enjoy this without Valve's hand in it, other than having to access it through Steam, right? Which is, you know, kind of the same problem, but not as severe. But like other games, they have their shit on their servers, and then they can just pull the plug, and then, uh-oh, you spent $60, $70, $80 on this game, and uh-oh, it's gone now. That money, bye-bye, you just can't play that game anymore. It's like, here, have this textbook. Okay, you have access to this textbook, I paid for it. And then, like, $200. And then, like, oh, sorry, you just can't have this anymore, and they just take it away from you. That's literally what's happening. And it's fucking evil. We should get at least all the weapons that were added along the years of TF. That is a problem too. Thing is, like, yeah, if TF2 shuts down tomorrow, like, and like the item servers shut down tomorrow, I think people could still, yeah, we can still play the game because we have the SDK, obviously. So with the release of the SDK, we can just run the game completely independently of Valve at this point. But if the item servers go down, I don't know if we still have access to everything that's functionally unique. I think we do. I think that's still all in the SDK, and you can play it. So I don't think that's a concern. But like all of your items, like your hats and your skins and all that shit, that would go bye-bye. All that money, all that shit, bye-bye. If Valve decides to turn off their item service tomorrow.
Be offline on their own hardware.
No, I'm not saying like okay, let me use a simpler example. Like, okay, I bought this pencil, right? So like, what's happening with these games? Like, I bought this pencil. I'm using this pencil, and then the company goes, sorry, you can't use this anymore, even though you paid full price for it. That's effectively what's happening here with this insane bullshit of servers getting shut down, and then you don't have access to a game anymore.
Or through player-run dedicated servers. And the result of all of this was the thesis of his video. When you buy a game and the company that runs it shuts it down without providing you with a refund or a way to keep playing on your own without company-run servers, they are essentially defrauding you of what you're paying for. This obviously ties into things like digital media.
It might as well be stealing, honestly. Like, that's kind of what it is. They just take your money, and then you don't have what you paid for.
Media preservation efforts and right to repair advocacy that, you know, Louis Rossman talks about a lot, as well as a lot of the other things that I mentioned before. But mainly, this is about getting people to be able to keep what they paid for. To make this sort of idea exceedingly clear, because some people like to misinterpret it, while the games as a service model...
He wasn't misinterpreting it. He was absolutely throwing out a weird obfuscation to try to tear it down. I don't know what the fuck was going on in his head. But that was not a legitimate misinterpretation on Pirate Software's part. If you just go listen to the shit he was saying, come on, man.
Is tangential.
And then he like tripled down on it too.
To things like Game Pass, live service games, and MMORPGs, microtransactions, pay-to-win mechanics, in-game gambling, etc., etc., etc. Those are their own can of worms. In this case, the concern is one and only: the potential for fraud via video game death. Additionally, Ross doesn't just point out a problem and whine about it. He's also actively...
Did you know that he worked at Blizzard, by the way? Did you know he worked at Blizzard? I love that compilation. That shit was so funny. It's like, yeah, I barely bring up the fact that I worked at Blizzard. It's like 500 instances of saying he worked at Blizzard.
Looking for solutions.
Buddy.
At the end of his video, he asked for people with expertise on the subject matter to email him with potential actions to move forward with the case. Now, for almost half a decade, all of the developments on this front for this movement...
I literally never talk about it.
Were behind the scenes. But the first venue through which this movement began was with Ubisoft's game called The Crew. Now, this is possibly one of the best examples of Ross's case, because
this is just the best example of that.
Crew actually had a single-player campaign, and although it had a heavy emphasis on its multiplayer mode, it wasn't massive multiplayer. It had a maximum of 8 players per session. And the reason why that's important is because this is something that a local player-run server could easily operate. Despite that, 9 years after its release, The Crew was completely shut down, and you couldn't even play the single-player campaign anymore. This game was literally vanishing from people's libraries, as if they had never bought it at all.
I did not mean to pause it on this frame, but I don't need to say anything anymore. Like this perfectly encapsulates what I was about to say. Like I don't need to add anything. That's it. He nailed it. He fucking nailed it. You will own nothing. God almighty. Oh, shit. I'm just gonna fucking keep going.
Now, at the time, refunds were offered to people who had recently bought the game, but due to the fact that the game was literally 9 years old at that point, the crushing majority of its player base had bought it many years prior and therefore were ineligible for a refund. But the issue isn't really that players
it's gonna be a really big deal when super major titles, ones that have today have been going on for pushing 20 years, like, well, I'll use Counter-Strike as an example again. When those games go, because it's inevitable. Like, these things are not forever. Valve will want it to last as long as they can, but it's not going to be forever. It is the boogeyman to see what happens. And like World of Warcraft 2, right? It's the fucking boogeyman. The thing that these companies don't want to even dare to address of what's going to happen when they shut down something as monumental, as titanic as some of these titles, man. No, I know CSGO was removed, but like, people got kind of, they got tricked because like, oh, it's CS2, it's the same game, guys. It's the same one, don't worry, right? So people kind of got fooled into that one. But anyone with more than half a brain knows that that was some insane bullshit they pulled by going over to CS2, and then CSGO is just dead. But like, when everything comes crashing down, like League, Dota 2, all of these, like when that shit comes crashing down, it's gonna be like apocalyptic. It's gonna be crazy to see what happens, how these developers handle that, and how the consumers are going to respond. I think it's gonna be pretty nuts. And it's like the one thing developers like want to severely avoid. And this goes into the whole microtransaction, microeconomy network that Valve has built between these 3 major titles. Well, 2.5 major titles, because let's face it, TF2 is not exactly major. They don't even want to tamper with that. They don't even want to consider the risk, the potential of like, what's going to happen if we want to shut down one of these games? And to touch on TF2 related stuff for a moment, the thing that pisses me off so much is one of the most retarded and ridiculous like cop-outs people put on Reddit and Twitter when it comes to criticizing TF2 is like, well, if you complain too much, Valve is just gonna shut down the servers. They're just gonna shut down the game if they don't want to do anything. Valve doesn't want to work on it, they'll just shut it down. No, they're not. Because the last thing Valve wants to do is figure out what's gonna happen if they shut down one of their legacy microeconomies. The last thing they want to have to experience is the fucking ripple effect that's going to have on Counter-Strike and Dota, and like what the fucking mass panic is going to be when all of those guys look over at TF2 shuttering its doors. Like, what do you mean the burning team captain is gone? I know about that one. What do you mean the golden pan is gone? Like, fucking Onan knows about those 2 things. Someone like him is going to look at that and go, uh-oh, I don't own any of these things. And Valve will just go, poof. One day, that's all gonna go away. That's gonna be really bad. So what's gonna happen? All the fucking Chinese whales are gonna start selling their shit. It's gonna be a mass bailout of Counter-Strike because on a whim, Valve can just shut this shit down. But they're not going to do that. Because of that exact reaction. Valve does not want to even come close to dabbling in that territory. So whenever you see someone doing that guilt-tripping, whiny kind of thing on Twitter, like, I'm just gonna shut down the server, just tell them to fuck off, because they don't know what they're talking about. They're only doing that to shame you into believing their side of the argument. That's all that kind of statement is they're trying to shame you into believing their side of the argument. Like, oh, you clearly hate the game and want it to die, and they're gonna shut down the servers. Oh shit, I'm sorry, I believe you, I agree with you. It's like, no. They're only trying to shame you.
Wanted refunds. That's like a band-aid to the real problem. The real thing is that they wanted their game, or they wanted the ability to set up their own servers to keep playing the game. Now, insult was quickly added to injury here because at the time, the director of subscriptions at Ubisoft, Philippe Tremblay, he said possibly one of the most dystopian things that you could ever imagine. One of the things we saw.
You will own nothing, and people, what was that? People need to get comfortable with not owning their shit.
Ubisoft. Philippe Tremblay. He said possibly one.
Gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games and for subscriptions to take off. Like, and it's not just Ubisoft doing this, right? It's not just Ubisoft. Every company wants this because it's more money. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Ubisoft exec soon to be healthcare CEO. Oh god. And it's something else too, man. Again, it's like they're gonna keep pushing further and further and further until it begins inconveniencing enough people for them to push back against this. And that goes with everything, right? It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until, like, the normiest of normies, like, come home from work or what have you and go, I can't play my game right now. What's happening? Like once the sub 90 IQ part of the population starts getting inconvenienced, then you're going to see enough massive pushback against this crap that's going to make them stop doing it. But until that happens, I think things are just going to keep getting worse. But the value in talking about it and the value of the Stop Killing Games initiative is that it just puts these thoughts out there and these notions out there like, hey, these are things that are worth discussing and worth talking about. Like, even if it amounts to nothing, even if these, you know, the signatures on the petitions, what have you, even if those amount to nothing in terms of, like, legal action, it still shows us, like, hey, these things are worth talking about, and it gets it on more people's radars and, like, more normie radars, you know? That's important. Minecraft account migration is an excellent disproof to the notion that shitwits will care when they can't play their game anymore. That's a very good example. And dude, I was a victim of that, because I got my fucking I got my copy of Minecraft in 2011. That's when I started playing the game. So all of the bullshit account migration over to Microsoft, I had to make like 2 or 3 other accounts. I bought a second copy of the fucking game because my account was just gone. It was bullshit. Oh, that was so annoying. And then I don't even play the fucking game anymore because they bloated it with too much shit. It's fucking insane. And again, it's just gonna keep getting worse. And thing is, like, it's kids. It's mostly kids that play Minecraft, right? Mommy, can I have $30 more, please? I want $30 more to buy Minecraft again, please. Mommy doesn't care. She's on fucking Valium right now, trying to ignore the fact she had 5 kids. Sure, Timmy. $30 more for you. So until it starts inconveniencing the moms, then nothing's gonna change.
One of the most dystopian things that you could ever imagine. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games.
Like DVD? You mean you'd, like, buy the copy of the movie and then you would own it? Like, that's like, I like how he, like, reaches out to DVD like it's this far away foreign concept when you can still walk into fucking Walmart and buy a movie. Really? Oh my god. Like, oh, like the mythical DVD from the year 2007. Oh my god. Just like any historical movement, it always only needs a small, loud group for it to start because people are too complacent or unwilling to do anything themselves. No, yeah, that's also completely true. It's like, again, that's the value in these things. It gets people talking about it when it's just infinitely worth doing to just even talk about it. 100%.
That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit.
This is why they stopped calling us gamers, but instead consumers. No, yeah, it's Valve calling us customers, that kind of thing. They don't look at it. I mean, remember, you are a number on a screen. They don't value you beyond this. You know, they don't value you beyond what's in your wallet, right? Look at me, I'm fucking rocking $3 here. I don't use cash. But like beyond this, they don't value you. They don't give a fuck about you. Fortnite would have to go down. Fortnite would have to go down for anything to happen. No, yeah, that's another bit. Like when Fortnite inevitably goes, right? Like when Fortnite inevitably goes, that will be fucking apocalyptic, I think. Because that's going to open up a lot of people's eyes as to like, uh-oh, these games that I've been playing for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 20 years are just one day going to go bye-bye. And all the money I dumped into it, everything that I own, I don't actually own, and then poof, all the money goes away. Gone. You don't own it. You don't own any of it. Yeah, that's exactly. That's like the perfect summary of this. Currently, the way things are, no online game will survive. None. Unless they have a software development kit release. No online game will survive.
slower to happen in games. As gamers grow more comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That has not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So
it's like he's explaining this like it's some novel fucking concept, like, oh, well, your progress is saved in our servers off in some dank room somewhere. It's like fucking, it's off in some mythical place. Wonderful. You don't have to worry about these things. What the fuck do you mean? I wish I have my hold on. I have to go get this. Give me like 2 seconds. Like, I have to, like, this is important. Give me like 2 seconds. I found it. Okay, motherfucker. Okay, the novel concept of being able to save something to a disk, like being like our fantastic game servers that we came up with this idea. The novel concept of you can save your progress. That's why it's okay to be comfortable with not owning anything, right? It's okay because, well, we can save your fucking progress. You can just go back there and get it at any time. So let me show you something. Like, so back in my day, we had consoles. Good consoles. Like, here is my Wii. Here is my Wii that I bought in 2007. I got this in 2007. I still own the same fucking console, and yes, it still works. The novel concept of being able to save your progress was right here. Right here. A whole 16 megabyte memory card, baby, where I could save my fucking progress. I still have this shit. All you had to do, little blow, a nice little blow. All you had to do was plug that shit in, and your progress is saved right there on the shelf. Right fucking there. That's it. It was all here, and you owned it. It was all here, and you owned it. But this motherfucker, in this patronizing article, is like talking down to the gamer of like, well, we have our game servers that save the progress for you. It's like what do you mean? I can just do it right here. It was on the disc. But I can't control how you play your game, so that's actually bad.
So it's about feeling comfortable while not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that. But as people embrace that model, they will see—
How do you do, fellow kids? I still own 2 boxes of DVDs.
See that these games will exist, the service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring. God. Streaming is also a thing that works really well with subscription. So you pay when you need it as opposed to paying.
Stadia. Remember that? Not too long ago? Google Stadia? Where you didn't even have to own a computer to play the game. You could stream the gameplay to your computer. Remember that? I tried that with TF2. I fucking tried Google Stadia with TF2. It was miserable because Google can't control the speed of your internet connection. Like, the fucking input delay on Stadia was unbearable. And they shut it down because, shocker, it was awful. It's like streaming the game to you. That was the Google's end game, was to like, oh, you don't even have to own a computer. All you have to do is pay for our service and our internet and an internet connection, and you can play whatever game you want. Like, It's like even worse because you're not even owning the machine that you play it on. It was so fucking bad. It really was. Yeah, streaming gameplay is a novel idea, but there's no way to fix the delay. You would have to be in the, you have to be in the same fucking room. But like, even if Google's server was in Dallas and I'm in San Antonio, like that, the input delay would be unbearable for anything other than a single player game, and even then, it would be agony. Agony, and they were trying to market that for multiplayer games. Seriously? Oh my god! It's dead, and rightfully so. It fucking died because it just didn't work.
All the time. Now, the obvious wrinkle in this hellish 2070 paradigm shift prediction, because we're just gonna kill them, is that streaming services are explicitly temporary. You're not buying movies, you're paying for a service to watch whatever they have. On some streaming services like Prime Video, you have the option to rent movies, but
you have your favorite movies. Amazon. You want to watch your favorite movie? Well, you can buy it once, or you can rent it. Right? You don't own the copy that you bought, first of all. You're paying for a license to access it. Or you can rent it. And I know people that have rented the same movie like 50 times. They make so much money off that shit. Like, where the cost of buying a DVD for $10, and they've rented the movie like 50 times. It's watching a movie as a service. I just had an A on YouTube say that the stream is about reminiscing about old consoles like the GameCube. I mean, it's not, yeah.
Once again,
that's basically what this is
told
about.
That you're renting them. The same thing is the case here with YouTube's movie rental service, but YouTube also has the added benefit that you can actually buy the movies on there, and you'll not only be able to stream them indefinitely, but even offline, you can still watch them. At least that is the case now. I don't think that'll always be a feature. I'm sure they'll rug pull that at some point.
Like even with that, you don't actually. I mean, you can. I don't know how this works with YouTube. I know how it works with Spotify, where if you download podcasts or you download music, you can only listen to that media through the app, and it's not just like a loose file on your computer. I mean, that's like the thing that Apple Music used to do. Back in my day, Apple Music, all you had to do, the files, like the straight up MP3s would just go straight to your computer. Like there was no protection, there was no wall, you can move them around however you wanted. That was fucking great. But then they started, encoding them, or not encoding, encrypting them, so you can't access these files unless you're using the actual app. And I'd imagine YouTube just doesn't download the straight MP4 to your computer or to your machine when you buy the movie. I'm sure it's like encrypted. You can only watch it through the app itself. So like that's not any better. You still need their app as a service in order to watch it.
Additionally, I think it's also worth saying that renting movies was already a thing well before the internet and the current landscape of digital streaming and digital media. And once again, at that time, you were explicitly told that it was a rental, not a regular purchase. What Tremblay is talking about here isn't a slow
movie rental culture. I shit you not. I use the word culture seriously. There was a whole culture around renting movies. It's a fucking movie. Be Kind, Rewind. All like that whole era is dead. The novelty of going into a rental store, into a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video, browsing the movies, meeting your friends there to pick out movies to watch at home, that kind of shit. And then they have like movie theater candy in there too. You can buy that when you're walking out to the register. That was the shit. And then like the 50 angry phone calls you'd get, like your videos, your rentals are X amount of days overdue, and having like $50 in late fees. That whole culture is dead. Because now, they just take it away from you. They just turn it off. Like, your access is revoked once your rental is up. Missed for the most part, the Blockbuster we had died in 07, 08. Some of my earliest childhood memories was going to Hollywood Video and renting VHS tapes with my mother and my sister after school. That was like the thing we did. Each week, we'd go rent some movies so we can watch them at home at night. It was fucking awesome. I can't even be in debt with Netflix. Dude, fucking Netflix used to mail you the fucking DVD to your door. They would mail you the physical copy, and then you would mail that shit back. Does anyone remember that? Like, that wasn't even that long ago. And they had that service for a long time, and then they went fully streaming. It was like when did they go fully streaming? Like 2016, I think? Like, they still sent out physical copies for a pretty good while. Which is pretty wild to think about. Yeah, and Gamefly, yeah, all that shit. Yeah, and then, I mean, and also Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, they also started renting out games where you'd go rent a fucking game. And then, of course, the copy you get's always scratched to shit. But, that was, it was all physical shit. It was awesome. Fucking Gamefly, man. Oh my god. Oh, that's shit. I remember the commercials of having all these memories yanked out of my brain from that. Man, better times.
Transformation. He's talking about a pot of slowly boiling water, and he expects the frogs, which are the players, the customers, to not notice that it's heating up. It is a rug pull, not a choice by the client. If it was a choice by the client, then there would be no issue. In fact, I think if it was a choice, people would probably engage with it much more comfortably, much like people use streaming services like Netflix or Spotify, both of which offer features.
That's a really good point. It's not a choice anymore. This is like the primary way to access any kind of media. No more physical copies, aside from very niche exceptions. Most new media, games, movies, music, purely digital releases. Purely licenses to access them. Like, increasingly so, we just don't have the choice anymore to get a fucking, a physical copy of anything. Just, it's done. It's dead. I'm done. That's terrifying. That is genuinely terrifying to think about. Indeed, it's why Sailing the Seven Seas stays winning. God, this fucking Wii is so dusty. I'm amazed this thing is still in such a good condition as it is. I haven't fired this thing up in about a year or two. I actually have two Wiis. I have a red one, and I have a yellow one. Not even, it's yellow now because it's been bleached. But, a white one.
Where you can download movies and music that you still like so you can access it offline. That is the bare minimum standard of expectation. And people in the gaming industry were chomping at the bit to fail to meet that expectation. So as you can imagine, gamers were not too happy. From January to March of that year, Ross signaled that he, along with the people he was communicating with, were ready to go all in on this crew situation.
Napster.
And by April, he had begun—
Napster and LimeWire, dude. Yes, even like those two. Napster got fucking shut down hard. I mean, like, the death of Napster was the beginning of the end for accessing music online and music licensing and shit like that. That was monumental when it came to like the whole what's the word I'm looking for? Fuck. The licensing thing, all that shit, the legalities behind accessing music, the death of Napster, all over. I was holding up to say that, but I really like your appearance. I am game though. I am gay though, so there's nothing interesting for and me. I think you're doing something right when even dudes are attracted to you. I'm not gay, but I'm flattered.
The campaign that he, along with a certain someone, became so notorious for. Stop killing games. Now, in the announcement video for the campaign, he explains that he'd been looking for a sort of weak link in the industry where he could start his efforts. And the crew was perfect since the game was legally tied to France, which had gotten pretty—
that's right. That's right. It was Metallica. I forgot. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah, that was— holy shit. I need to— oh my God. I have to go back and refresh my memory on all the details on that. But yeah, they were bringing down the hammer of not wanting their music going through Napster. Yeah.
Generous with consumer—
was it explicitly the band, or I'm pretty sure it was the record company
protection
doing
laws.
that.
And because of those very nice consumer protection laws, this meant there was the potential for a class action lawsuit against Ubisoft. And the website provided people with a few resources and institutions to contact, which led to the creation of 3 petitions. There was one in Australia, there was one in the UK, and there was one in Canada. But unfortunately, none of them yielded—
No, fuck you. I'm not a twink. Don't do that shit. We're not going deviating away from the video. I'm not a fucking twink. I'm not that like, no. Just no. Don't project that shit onto me.
any significant results. They were all closed early, or they were responded to by their respective governments in some very dissatisfactory ways. Fortunately, this was just the beginning, okay? It wasn't over yet, and Ross and everyone involved in the SKG Double Down was not about to give up. In June 2024, the biggest campaign yet was started, which is the European Citizens Initiative to Stop Destroying Video Games. Now, although this was just a petition, it was slightly different than what we saw previously because it pointed at the European Union. And apparently, with the European Union, there's a formal process for petitions to make their way to legislature. And that means if this one was successful, then it would be one of Ross and SKG's best chances to really—
Has that ever succeeded? I'm just not super knowledgeable about, you know, European government, but like, has any instance of getting enough signatures and pushing that into the forefront of what the government's looking at, has that ever succeeded in making new legislation? Like, it hasn't ever resulted in new legislation? Or is it just only resulted in, like, the government acknowledging that the people are upset? It has. Interesting. Well, that's comforting to know, so it's not entirely wasted. Apple charger? I'm not familiar with that one. I don't use Apple products, so I know nothing about Apple. There you go.
Really make a change. However, this sort of streamlined process was paired with a much higher ask than the other petitions. In order for this initiative to hold any weight, it would have to collect a whopping 1,400,000 signatures from legitimate citizens of the European Union.
It's such an insanely high bar. Oh my god.
But it did start—
I can understand it's because, I mean, they have to set a line somewhere, otherwise everything under the sun would get put in front of them, but that's a lot.
Very well. It quickly attracted a lot of the attention.
Apple's Lightning ports are forced to change to Type-C ports. Is that why they died off? No fucking wonder.
Of certain members of the European Parliament who commented positively on the petition and its objectives. Now, Ross then announced the initiative to his YouTube audience, and he was like, hey, go take a look at this. This video now has 250,000 views. Now, 250,000 views is not bad at all. But of course, you have to consider that only a fraction of those views are from the European Union, and only a fraction of the people within the European Union who see that video will go through the trouble of signing the petition. Now, when they started this, they had a year or so until the petition's deadline, but that's still a pretty tall order. To
clarify, the requirement is 1 million signatures, but they wanted 400,000 more to assure invalid signatures did not invalidate the initiative. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes more sense, because 1 million is still a lot, but 1.4 is an odd number.
It's a lot of signatures they need to get.
Yeah, that's getting to 1.4, which is a big deal.
But before the European Union initiative and SKG at large could start accumulating momentum and really build up support in other parts of the world, a sort of roadblock came in their way. And that roadblock was named Jason Hall, also known as Pirate Software. And I guess it's honestly fitting that a worldwide campaign against fraud had a absolute fraud as its first kind of opposer, as its first boss fight. But if you want to learn more about that, you can go watch the new video by this guy. His name is Tom. He makes good videos. Anyway, at this point, there was roughly half a decade's worth of SKG related material that was easily accessible online.
Life is Roblox.
That Jason Thor Hall could have perused if he really wanted to learn about what was going on here. But there's just one problem.
He knew exactly what was going on. It's not that he was ignorant. It's not that he didn't know what was going on. He knew exactly what was going on. There's no fucking way he didn't know what this actually was about.
And that problem is that he didn't want to learn about it. Much like pretty much all of his other interests and hobbies, Jason only learned about the absolute surface level talking points of SKG, and he then misinterpreted all of them and regurgitated it to his audience like a bird.
It's going to keep happening. I'm not surprised, but to be real with you, I can't back that process. I can't. As written, the language is too vague. It doesn't solve the root issue, and it creates a litany of new issues. So for those who don't understand...
I mean, you can just tell that he's talking out of his ass. Like, you know, like, come on, man.
The Stop Killing Games is basically, we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. The way that they're going about it is using very vague language that makes it so that even live service games could be caught in this net.
You don't need to remove or even radically alter DRM to achieve SKG's goals. You literally just need to provide reasonable means for players to keep playing the game after support.
Again, there's no chance in hell that he genuinely misinterpreted what's going on here. The dude feels a little bit like an industry plant. Like like you have to be something of a lobotomite to not actually know what they were asking for here. So, good God. And yeah, I've heard his real voice. That's not his real voice. It's something of a voice. It's something of a voice changer. I don't know what it is. But also, you don't understand. He used to work at Blizzard.
Stopped. The most complicated that this can get is having to provide end users with the ability to run their own servers, which isn't that complicated, especially for these companies that have the resources to run live service games in the first place.
Now, are there zero fucking excuse? They have so many resources, so much manpower. It is not that much extra work to get these games available to people.
Some games in which this is going to be really hard or not necessarily super doable? Sure, but that's why it's important that the campaign isn't retroactive, meaning it wouldn't demand that a game that's been dead for 30 years or 10 years or even 5 years suddenly gets resurrected and brought back from the dead, and then there's all this bullshit that comes with it. What it means is that from the point...
you can't grandfather old shit into this stuff that's no longer offered anyway. That's,
of this getting legislated overall, all games made onward will have this.
He cuts out the mid-tones from his mic. Tom went over in his video. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's not
his
actual
because
voice.
It's going to be the law.
Can you fucking believe he calls it a second puberty? You called it a second puberty. Like, no, that's not how it works. You have to have something physically fuck up your throat in order to change your voice after your balls drop, dude. It's not how it works, man. Second puberty, my ass.
Precisely so that it's never too hard for a company to carry out a reasonable end-of-life plan for their game. No one is deliberately going out of their way to make the life of these devs harder. All that SKG stands for is that the current situation is stacked up against the consumer,
he did
and
work at
something
Blizzard.
should be done about it. Additionally, there are some parallel but equally egregious cases where SKG could potentially come in handy. For example, everybody knows that companies like Nintendo go out of their way to shut down sites that provide ROM downloads for their games.
That is like listen, only remember, don't play. That's Nintendo's motto. Only remember, don't play. Any old game, only remember it. Or spend $40 to access it again if we decide to put it on our store. But if it's some other old game that we made, you're only allowed to remember it. You're not allowed to play it. Nintendo is one of the most disgustingly anti-consumer companies on the fucking planet. I don't know how Nintendo can hate their customers so much, and yet people still willingly give them money for everything they make. It's insane. You know, or spend thousands on old tech that fewer and fewer people know how to service and repair. Or also hundreds on old sealed copies of games, depending on the title you're looking for. Or, you know, or if you want to, and then if you even want to play these old games, you have to pay for their live service bullshit, their pass to access their store and have access to the games you purchase, and then you have to buy the games again. Oh, so evil.
And they have plenty of games that they've made that are otherwise extremely inconvenient or even impossible to acquire. For example, some older titles require you to buy a Nintendo Switch and then subscribe to a service or multiple services within the Switch network in order to gain access to those games. I personally would say that that falls into the category of unusually inconvenient, considering that the technology...
More like diabolically, evilly inconvenient. It's terrible.
Technology to emulate games on a computer has existed for 2 decades at this point.
No self-respecting software repairman should struggle with it. You get my point, though.
When I was like 10 years old, we had this on the iPhone, okay? GB.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing worse than a Valve Defender is a Nintendo Defender. Like, Nintendo fans are easily some of the most rabid, broken people that will do everything they can to get this multi-billion-dollar company to acknowledge them and love them. Like, we need another Pokemon game, now! Only way to save gaming is to abolish or weaken intellectual property law. That applies to more than just games. But it's never going to happen, yeah, unfortunately. No, yeah, broken is a very good way to put fucking your typical Nintendo fan. They have been broken by the company. What is Sega doing anymore? Is Sega doing anything? What was the last thing Sega did? I can't even think of it. Like, for me, I think Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. They did a Miku crossover for Sonic. Yes, Miku! But is that it? Okay, Yakuza, but other than that, what else? Sonic is a video game. Sonic is a video game. Sega does what Nintendo don't, rotting away. Yeah. The era of Sega was, I think Sonic 06 was the beginning of the end. Sega does music too? Trying new Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and Shinobi. We'll see what comes of that, though. Is it bad that everything is now digital? Long answer short, yes. Simply because companies control your access to anything you buy and anything you own digitally, which is not good.
For iOS, shit was litty. And here, I'm only talking about Nintendo-specific titles that Nintendo themselves made, because there are plenty of old games that were developed for Nintendo consoles, but were made by other third-party companies.
Yep.
And plenty of those are simply not legally available, unless you somehow manage to get a physical copy of them, and also own a working console that they're meant to be played on, which can be 10, 20, 30 years old at this point. So I think it's not impossible to see how this can get extremely inconvenient real fast. Meanwhile, they could just have an official website where you can pay $20 and get a playable copy of a game, and that would basically fix it.
Like, could you fucking imagine if Nintendo just did that? There's no way in hell someone just hasn't thought of that. We're like, let's just host all of these old games on a website. You want it, you buy it, you can emulate it on your fucking... They would make so much money. Just do that. Instead of this evil shit that's pushing more of your customers away. I don't get that.
Now, don't get me wrong, this is not...
They would make fucking trillions. They would win back every customer they've shunned over the years. Seriously. They refuse to let you simply access your files that you paid for, yeah. For single-player games! For fucking single-player games! Who gives a fuck what they do with the files in a single-player game? Except resell them, but that's it!
What SKG is about, because SKG focuses primarily on games that already have been bought, usually in a digital form, and these games are then removed from the customer's game library.
So
however,
I have Mario Kart Wii copy in my Wii console. Yeah, I still have my copy of Mario. I still have the fucking wheel, so I'd use the Wii wheel, and I was the best at it. No fucking GameCube console shit. I used the Wii wheel, and I was the best at it.
Parallel to SKG's concerns, and I think personally it's definitely something to be worried about. The point of this is not to destroy DRM or to allow piracy. The point is just to provide a reasonable alternative to piracy. By all means, if these games are legally available online...
Hey, there you go. Gabe Newell's quote rings evergreen. Piracy is only done because it's a problem with the service, inconveniencing your customers.
Then these companies are justified in taking down platforms that offer pirated versions of the game. The problem is that they don't. One sort of parallel example of companies making it inconvenient for you to get their games is the original GTA trilogy, which as far as I know, you can only get if you're on PC and you go directly to their website and use their launcher, because the only available...
And don't they play like shit too? Don't they play like ass? Like they're really buggy? Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, they did not do the ports very well. So you yourself have to patch them in order for them to function. A 580 can't handle the ports? That's terrible. They aren't the original, although they are also not the definitive edition. It's a new, weird version. That's just fucked up. It's not even the original game.
Version on Steam and other platforms is the original definitive edition, which is extremely different from the original version and much worse.
One of my girls needs a ride, so grab a car and pick up Misty from the clinic, then bring her back here. Remember, no one messes with my girls.
A. She was a whore.
B. She hit me.
But eventually Jason's mind sort of started working a little bit, all right?
There was a mobile port too.
Started moving just a little bit, and he came up with the kind of obvious counterpoint to his argument about how SKG could destroy live service games.
The way that they're going about it is using very vague language that makes it so that even live service games could be caught in this net, which means every multiplayer game gets caught in the net. And they have to put in caveats such as allowing people to run private servers and so on and so forth after the game dies in order for them to even make it in the first place. Government-run initiative. I can't back this, dude. I can't. It is too goddamn vague.
This guy's an idiot.
Unlike his previous point, which to me seems to be...
guys, I know what I'm talking about. Here, I'm going to draw a couple squares. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me get my super high-tech software here. So, you buy a video game, and then you own it. Look, you buy a video game, and then you own it. Look, it's that simple. But the problem is that you buy a video game, but it gets put into, like, this magical box somewhere that is not in your house, and you don't own it, and then the box can just be taken away from you by the company you bought the game from. So, you don't actually own the video game. Look, guys, I know what I'm talking about. Anyone can do this shit. That's easy.
The result of just ignorance. This one is just plain dishonesty. Jason, as a game dev, or at least somebody who pretends to be a game dev, should know that player-run servers are not a caveat. They're pretty common, even in the indie world. He later adds something about how things like leaderboards, levels, and other in-game metrics need the company to track them, and how players can't provide an alternative. But the thing is, even...
My lord, voice not deep enough, so your statements are... I mean, I have to start channeling Joe Swanson, otherwise my voice doesn't get like too baritone enough, you know. You gotta start taking care of video games. And I can't even get that voice that loud because I have to like constrict my throat. We gotta make sure these video games are easy to access after they go offline. Hey Peter, we got a severe problem accessing these video games. You gotta make sure they can get good access to them. I've hit my third puberty!
If that were the case, which it isn't.
And the poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Losing progress, losing characters, or losing cosmetics in a game, I would say that that is preferable to losing the entire game. He also randomly...
Yes, but that's also the inevitable end, where you're gonna lose all the other shit you paid for, too.
He calls it a government-run initiative.
Yes, I know, it's Patrick Warburton, it's the same voice actor.
I don't know why he's doing that. I guess it's to fearmonger the people behind it. The truth is that the European initiative is run by a European citizen, and you can see the names of every person involved in it. And given that there is a vetting process for the signatures, the names of every single signee will also be audited to ensure there's no fake names.
Thing is, like, Patrick Warburton, whatever character he voice acts, it's always just his voice. It's always just his voice.
Could know all of this.
It's like, there's no deviation. It's always just him.
He could choose to learn this, okay? But instead he opted against that because he's dead.
Like whenever John Goodman voiced a character, it's always just him.
To summarize...
Same for like Robin Williams, you know, it's just their iconic voices, you know?
Jason's position on this topic. He believes that game developers and publishers should be able to do whatever they want to their customers. And the customer should be okay with it. Anything
there
else
it is.
would...
You will own nothing and be happy. It was coming.
Be government overreach. What apparently isn't government...
Was that the proprietary Blizzard presentation app? Yes, it was.
Government overreach, however, is when companies weaponize IP laws to have the government take down anyone who makes their games available. When that happens, it's actually good. Very good. Now, later on in this little argument that he's giving...
That's right. He did furry shit in Second Life. I remember that now. I forgot where I heard that or I watched that. That's right. The Pirate Software guy did furry shit. He developed what was it exactly? Furry models? So I have to go brush up on my history of this guy, but that's where he got his start online.
He tries to make it out like private servers are an impossible thing for people to do for these massive multiplayer games, but then he has an epiphany. For a brief moment, he breaks out of his self-sucking daze, and he remembers that there are private servers for World of Warcraft, and that's about as massive as MMOs can get. Additionally, WoW was the
fucking company he worked for.
Created by Blizzard, a company that Jason used to work for, if you haven't heard.
Dude. Blizzard, 7 years, yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. So he, of all people, should know this. But instead of acknowledging this as something that goes against his point, instead he just decides to lie. So this would not require publishers to assume liability for the customer actions, except it would, because every single time that somebody would go off and create a private server and that private server would have problems. Do you know who gets tickets for it? The parent company that made the original game.
What do you mean? That's like that shit is insane. Like, I fucking run my own fucking TF2 servers and something goes wrong there. Who gets notified? Me! It's my fucking problem. It's not fucking Valve's problem. You fucking idiot. The fuck? There's a cheater on my server. I'm not asking Gabe to ban them. I banned them myself. It's ridiculous.
You know how I know that? Because we got tens of thousands of tickets at Blizzard for private servers for World of Warcraft. This is the most uneducated take I have ever seen in games.
Now, I'm no Blizzard Nepo baby, all right? I'm a humble farmer. But Blizzard's own website has a dedicated page to remark on the fact that all private servers are against Blizzard's own terms of use, and they don't provide any assistance with private server issues. Now, maybe I'm being a bit daft here, okay? I did excel in summer school, but I don't know what else this could mean other than that they don't provide assistance to private servers.
So, like, did he work at Blizzard or not? Because, like, to not know that is insane.
I mean, maybe there are performance issues or bugs that could be revealed in a private server, but then again, that would still be a problem in the code for the base game, and it wouldn't be exclusive to the private server. But putting his stupidity and his dishonesty...
Oh, he only did QA, that's it?
Side. There were obviously some bigger issues with
Jason. He never really did anything of significance. He was QAing games.
Because frankly, as a guy who has streamed before, I know that anyone can be dumb, wrong, or end up saying something that's just not true when going off on a live stream, okay? The real problem...
I don't do that. I'm infallible. I have never said anything wrong ever on a stream. Not once.
To me is that he outright states he's simply not willing to speak to Ross about potentially having misunderstood the movement. He's unwilling to even clarify his position.
If you're interested, I'd be fine with having a discussion with you on where we could at least clarify things, but your choice. I don't think I want to do that. And the reason why is this. It is because specifically your video that made me not interested in wanting to talk to you. It is specifically this portion of your video right here where you discuss reasons why your initiative could pass. And your description of this, I find to be disgusting.
Politicians like easy wins, and this doesn't require them to do much at all. And unless it involves gambling or protecting children, politicians generally don't care about video games. So this isn't of big consequence to them or most of their constituencies. EU law is already unclear on a lot of this practice anyway, and we would be making it easy for them to settle it. It falls in line with other consumer practices. You know, how when you buy something, you're generally allowed to keep it? And finally, this is a diversion from really serious topics that politicians would prefer not to deal with.
So politicians are going to put this forward because it's an easy win, they don't understand the subject matter, and it's a diversion from more serious issues.
Yes.
I don't have any respect for that.
I don't know if anything needs to be said. Totally not an industry plant. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm usually hesitant to watch a Meat Canyon video because I tend to get physically disturbed, mentally disturbed. Ugh.
I don't have any reason to have a conversation with you because of this.
Why do you take offense to this? Why does that offend you? What does that even mean? Like, you're not a politician. Like, what would you have preferred? Would you have preferred it be hard? Like, how do you propose we get new legislation to move through? What do you think? It's because he worked at Blizzard. Good God, man. Like, listen, I'm not that in tune with this shit, but just that... Come on, man.
Good luck.
What Ross said about politicians was pretty inoffensive, so I guess we can chalk this up to like the best made-up excuse Jason had to not engage with Stop Killing Games. Now, although Ross did leave a few comments under his videos, it seems like they were deleted, which Jason claimed only happened if comments contained harassment or hate speech. But there was really nothing in this comment that was hate speech. But due to how blunt and hostile Jason was, while Ross was kind of
scorched earth, and people start calling you out on your shit.
Patient and
dime a dozen examples.
Sort of zen-like, this situation started to grow to unforeseen proportions, as you had other representatives of games preservation like Louis Rossman coming forward to address Jason's critiques against SKG and rebuttal. But despite a lot of backlash, not just from people who represented this movement, but also the gaming community at large, Jason did not admit that he was wrong. Instead, he doubled down. Yeah, badass, dude. Beast! Beast!
Hi, my name is Jason Thor Hall, also known as Pirate
Thomas Jack now, man. He's put on weight since I saw him.
Software Online. I've been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studios, and now I own my own studio, Pirate Software, by the same name, which is
Never kneel.
Studio, and I've been here for about 8 years.
Now, while the actual contents of his criticism towards SKG tend to get a little bit repetitive, the fact of the matter was that at the time, Jason was an unimaginably bigger figure, personality, influencer on Twitch and YouTube than anyone else who was.
How did this guy get his following? Like, I need to go watch Tom's video on this one. I watched this one because, like, the general subject matter is interesting to me. How did this guy get so big? He's got 2 million subs. That's crazy. YouTube Shorts? YouTube Shorts actually managed to grow a channel. Interesting. Gaslighting Zoomers. According to Pirate Software's logic with third-party accountability, Roblox would be nuked if they had to be responsible for whatever the community does. Yeah, that would... Yeah, you think Roblox being held accountable for anything is a stretch. YouTube short about his father being the South Park WoW nerd. Oh, God. He lost 20% of his subs since the SKG thing. That is honestly kind of deserved. Kind of like iDubbbz going fucking what the fuck is... That's another can of worms. What the fuck is going on with iDubbbz, man? What happened to that guy? That is some serious downfall. Jesus. In terms of, like, losing subs and losing popularity, it's fucking insane. Basically shorts and censoring anyone that dared to reveal his darker past. Yeah. Reminder that Yandere Div did way more work on his game than Jason on Hardbound. And also for the fact that he did furry shit in Second Life. I mean, furry shit aside, I'm indifferent on furry stuff. No, the fucking... God, the iDubbbz shit is insane, man. Like, he put out a video the other day. I won't delve into the subject matter, but... What the fuck, dude? What, like, you're not gonna get anywhere. There's no pulling yourself out of this hole. It's fucking insane how far this man has fallen. Absolutely crazy. And he's still just bleeding subs. He's still just bleeding subs. It's you hate to see it. He kind of did it himself. He did it to himself, so it's pretty bad. iDubbbz top tier lolcow, is he? I'm not big on lolcow culture, but the ones that usually get elevated to that status, they tend to do a lot more. He's getting there. He's dead. He's getting there.
Supporting SKG. So you can imagine how frustrating it might be to have a huge content creator completely antagonize your movement before it can even get going.
Yeah. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction.
Fortunately, despite...
Like, that shit's just evil. That shit's just evil, and I know that this is a human being that's no longer worth interacting with. Because either side of this coin, either he was truly ignorant, 100% ignorant, and had no idea what Stop Killing Games was actually trying to do. And then intentionally and willfully telling his audience, massive audience, to not support this is fucking evil. But then the doubly evil thing is on the other potential path, the one that I believe, is that he was absolutely fully aware of what this was trying to do. And then for whatever reasons he has, who knows what they could be, he does the same thing and tells people to not support a genuinely beneficial and good movement that would do nothing but benefit every person that enjoys video games. To me, that's just evil. Through and through. Someone that would just never be worth interacting with ever. Ever. Like, and fucking, you know, extending the olive branch to even try to clear things up took such grace and such humility, and then he just goes, no, I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. No. Evil.
Jason doing his best to murder this campaign, Ross was equally headstrong, and he continued to promote SKG despite the mounting odds. And although he would never get the chance to talk directly to Jason,
the grace of what Ross had to extend that olive branch and then to have it slapped down,
he instead released an indirect response video to every point that Jason had brought up to really clear the air on whatever Jason had said. In the format of
after this point, this is when that shit really exploded. Like once pirate boy started shitting on this thing, and then the momentum just got too big.
FAQ. He begins his video by taking responsibility for any misunderstanding regarding the movement.
But there was none. There was no misunderstanding. It was intentional obfuscation by a fucking industry plant. It's not his fault.
Goals that people may have, and he then comprehensively presents his case for SKG. But despite his efforts to clarify things, this video only got a little over 100,000 views. While there was some progress in the lawsuit involving the crew, by December, Ross
and that's ultimately the point of this video that Tom's gonna get to in a minute, is Pirate Software making a complete ass clown of himself for the whole internet to see. Saved this shit. It took one complete Neanderthal to act like a Neanderthal, an evil one doing the shit that he did, for people to go, oh, dude, what the fuck are you doing? To like step in and go, you're not doing that shit. Like him doing that absolutely propelled this stuff into the mainstream to the point where fucking Tom made videos about it. Because if that didn't happen, I don't know, Tom probably wouldn't have touched this shit. It's just true. And here, that's why I want to talk about it on stream today, because it's just valuable to acknowledge and valuable to look at these things. 300 IQ Pirate Software move, I kneel. I mean, sure, you could use that logic, where it's like, this was his plan all along. Then he'll come forth and, like, claim, like, it was actually me that made these new laws pass, guys. Nah, he wouldn't do that. He would be so heavily berated if he even tried doing that. Crazy Pirate Software is 37 years old and he still can't help but act like a child. It's... Some people never grow, right? Some people never grow. Some people never go beyond a certain age of cognitive development. And they don't change, they don't grow, they don't learn from past mistakes. They get set in their ways and they will stay that way until they die. A lot of people operate, most people operate like that in the world, like a majority.
Seemingly kind of aware of how grim the prospects for SKG were.
We have a response from Canada on the petition. Unfortunately, they are passing the buck. What the response says is that, you know, this sounds important, let the provinces deal with it. That's a much smaller pool of people, to the point where I don't think it's going to influence things worldwide, even if we had a complete success, which, I mean, I'd be surprised if we did.
In the comments, people remarked about how the signature count had been stationary for weeks, and the overall perspective people had was, well, at least we tried, right? At least we tried, but it seems like it's over. However well-intentioned and diligent Ross...
Anytime someone does that shit, you know, they get rightfully scorned.
Everyone else involved in this movement was, it slowly started to sink in that it might be over, at least for the European initiative. Updates were sparse, the signatures weren't going up fast enough.
Honestly, I think we know the rest of the story from here on out. We know the rest of the story. I don't think we need another 20 minutes to know the rest of the story. Basically, this shit got picked up by some larger YouTubers, it propelled it into the mainstream, and very, very quickly, it got the rest of the signatures that it needed, and then, you know, and shit got done. Like this thankfully, a very nice and happy ending. Ross being the true champion that he is. The dude deserves a beer. Does he drink? Buy his ass a beer. Get him some fucking recognition. It's so funny if the Stop Killing Games passes and the companies just stop selling games in the EU. I mean, that they would not do that, dude, because they would lose so much fucking money. Like, the three biggest game markets, North America, Europe, and China. Cut off one, cut off a third of your revenue. First beneficial YouTube drama. I mean, there's benefit in a lot of it because it provides entertainment, but this one actually yielded a beneficial thing for everybody. So, very, very few instances of that, for sure. Extremely few. Metal Gear Solid 2 is an awesome title. Just imagine if it had a string saying always online required, and then 20 years down the line, the server shut down, this game will not be playable. I mean, yeah, it'd be fucking awful. There you go. There you go. Tom doing due diligence and good service for putting more eyeballs on this thing, which is good. I'm glad he made these videos. So thank you, Tom. We love you. I think I'll call it there for watching the video. I think I'll call it there for the stream too. This was experimental. I had fun. I had fun doing this. But before I do go, I do want to briefly touch on a bit of a struggle I've been dealing with when it comes to my quick play video. I wanna bounce a couple things off you guys before I sign off here. So I find myself at a bit of a crossroads. I find myself at a bit of a crossroads right now, trying to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna pose this shit. Okay? I'm struggling here. So the script that I've written is the one that I fully and 100% like believe in terms of what Valve should do to fix the game, okay? In that it's basically making the game function more like Quickplay. That's the idea, right? The steps Valve needs to take in order to make the game function more like Quickplay, boom, done. No concessions. No concessions. Because the main thing is that TF2's matchmaking system is fucking broken, and there is absolutely no salvaging it. And most of the problems with TF2 right now stem from the matchmaking system, and no matter how many band-aids you put on casual mode, it's not going to completely alleviate all of the problems we face right now. So, like, for example, a lot of people are getting the idea of, like, oh, you know, you want longer round timers? Oh, we'll just bump the best of 3 to, like, a best of 7. It's like, okay, that helps it a little bit. It's like, oh, you don't, like, okay, then bring team scrambles back. Okay, team scrambles cannot function at the same time as the game coordinator as it tries to look for players. So much like auto balance, all of these things are going to be fighting each other when a game is ongoing. And so that's going to fuck up the game flow even more. But like people are like trying to go about the angle like, okay, let's make concessions and make tweaks to casual mode to make it function more like quick play, but like that's not solving the root of the problem that is the matchmaking system. So for me, I'm kind of like solidified in, okay, the real root of the issue is the matchmaking system itself, and that just needs to be removed. But the problem is, like, a lot of people don't want to get behind that because that's not going to yield a tangible product at the end. Like, okay, you're not giving something for Valve to do, right? That's easy. Like, there's no excuse here. No amount of work is an excuse for Valve to fix this game. They should just remove the matchmaking system and make the game function like it did before 2016. Plain and simple. That's the #1 thing they should do. There should be no concessions made. But people view that as impossible because, like, oh, it's too much work. Valve will never do that, right? So the alternative is like, okay, propose changes for casual mode that kind of meet halfway, but I don't want to do that because that's not what the game needs. It would help, but it's not what the game needs. The game needs so much more. So for me, it's like I just figured I need to just lean into the most extreme, like this is what Valve needs to do to give us the best experience back. And making halfway concessions is not going to do anything. It'll grease the gears a little bit on the broken machine, but it's just not going to be enough. So now that I'm saying this out loud, I might just trust my gut, yeah, and stick with what I have. Thing is, I don't want to do both because one pathway is objectively better than the other in terms of making the game play better. And that is just removing the matchmaking system because it's intentionally being allowed to malfunction. I explained that in the video. And then, but keeping the matchmaking system in any capacity is just not, it's not the best thing to do because it's still going to have its problems that are baked into it. No, yeah, better to go full way because there's already enough videos regarding how to fix Quickplay. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm still like the script is done. I finished it this morning. I'm pretty happy with it. I can't see any other changes that I can make to it that'll make it better. It's long, you know, the video is going to be over an hour. It's not 4 hours, it's not 2 hours. It's probably like an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half at this point. But I'm happy with it. I'm just doubting myself that it's the right angle to take. So we'll see. Solight's in a recent community post, he's working on a video that will include a section about casual and quick play, and the latter in which he's much more in favor with. I don't trust Solarlight's opinion on fucking anything in regards to TF2. I'm sorry. He is not the person to propose what needs to be done with this game. That is my full belief. I'm sorry. Just not the ideal person to lead the charge on that. Anyway, I'll figure it out. That being said, I'm tired now. I'm going to call the stream here. Thank y'all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all of the lovely donations. You're all lovely people. I cannot thank you enough. Streaming again Saturday around the same time. Join the Discord and linked in the description below if you want notifications for when I go live. And yeah, that's about it. Y'all take care. I'm going to keep plugging away on this video as much as I can. And yeah, I'll see y'all later.